It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams in NFL news. Out of the spring league meetings, the tush push lives on as the Packers' proposal to ban the play, popularized by the Philadelphia Eagles, did not reach the 75% of votes threshold to pass. The Titans were one of the 10 teams that voted against the proposal. Roger Goodell also announced today that the Buffalo Bills will be the subject of this season's Hard Knocks during training camp. The NBA Western Conference Finals got underway last night as the Oklahoma City Thunder took a 1-0 series lead with a commanding 114-88 win over Minnesota. Eastern Conference Finals begin tonight as the Knicks host the Pacers. Tip-off at 7 p.m. Tennessee's SEC tournament opener is set to begin in just a few minutes as they get ready to take on Alabama and Hoover. Marcus Phillips on the mound for the Vols to start their SEC tournament run here in just a few minutes. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. You want to get on the conversation, we'll be joined by Reese Van Haaften, Channel 6 News Sports Director over in Knoxville. Talk about everything going on in the University of Tennessee. A lot of things happened after we got off air. As announced, Zakai Zeigler is suing or filing a lawsuit to get fifth-year eligibility and all this kind of jazz.
I'm conflicted on that too. I can't wait to discuss it because I don't. Should he?
His mic's on. Oh, we're going to a different place for the mic now. We're to.
Will it reach?
This would have been good
can
to.
You hear me right here pretty good.
Yeah, there we go. We got you now.
Yeah, I'm really conflicted on this one, and Ziegler. You know, should he be eligible to have another year? Because didn't you get an extra year for COVID? Like, where does that start and stop?
Yeah, it's weird because I guess
you were 2020 class, or because I think he was 2021.
He did not get the COVID.
Yeah, he didn't get the COVID year.
Yeah, so I just I don't know. And then can you look at it from a perspective? I'm trying to get him to win.
Yeah.
In this case, so why can't he be in grad school? Do a grad school year. And a lot of dudes.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do, and that's what this. If I understand the lawsuit correctly, I think that's what they're trying to address.
Oh, okay.
Is that fifth year of eligibility with the grad school year? I may be interpreting it wrong, so I'm not a lawyer.
I don't know.
But I think that's what this lawsuit is addressing. Jackson, do you know if that's what the lawsuit is addressing? Are you even listening to us?
I am, sorry. The lawsuit is addressing his eligibility. He says because he did not redshirt, he is at a disadvantage to other players because if he redshirted like Nico Iamaleava did, he would still gain NIL money and endorsement money during that year. So it is not fair that, you know, a player like Nico who redshirted could get an extra year essentially of NIL earnings that Zakai is having that taken away from him because he was ready as a freshman.
That's what are your thoughts on that?
I think he's right.
Why?
Because he was ready to play as an 18-year-old freshman. I don't think there's a ton of those. I don't think there's a ton of guys in the current top tier of their sport that are ready as a true freshman. And for them to lose out on dollars because they are ready, I don't think is fair.
Oh, I don't know if I view it that way. After hearing that, I don't know.
Well, my thing is did he lose out on money? Because he got paid that year. He got paid for 4 years. Am I mistaken on that?
Well, he played, but he wasn't probably under contract as far as getting money besides scholarship.
Nico wasn't playing that freshman year.
Yeah.
He got paid even though he was not playing.
But he's likely going to leave early, right? I mean, for the NFL, so what is the difference?
But that's why he got an extra year is because he didn't play. Zakai did play.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but what we're trying to say is that it shouldn't matter.
Right.
And listen, I'm not trying to knock anybody's ability to play or get paid or anything.
I love Zakai.
And I think Zakai Zeigler is great, but obviously he understands his limitations in the NBA and is looking for he's looking for one more payday. Yep. And I don't blame him. I probably would do the same in his position as well.
Yeah, but this can backfire with him personally, because let's say he does get eligible. It may take a minute. Well, Tennessee's already got their guards all in place, and they may not have money available for him. So what do you think about that?
That's why they got to take the Adidas deal.
Play somewhere else.
That's why they got to take that Adidas deal.
You act like this is going to pull $1 million out of the pocket.
I don't know how it would work with Tennessee. That's just how I see his perception of the lawsuit.
Right, but I'm asking your opinion, though, not what he. I asked you your opinion. Like, do you think that that's right? Because that rule's been in place forever. Just because money now got involved, to me, doesn't change the rule about redshirting, and then you got to sit a year, but you didn't play, but he did play, so his eligibility is up.
I don't blame him. I mean, my opinion is, I don't blame the guy. I mean, I would do the exact same thing. I mean, it's kind of the current landscape. Diego Pavia his eligibility probably should have been done. He decided to go this route. He's eligible to play.
No, his route was totally different. He was saying JUCO is totally different than the NCAA rules, and that shouldn't count against his eligibility, which is absolutely a fact. It's not.
And I'm just saying all these different lawsuits and situations are coming up, and I think it's just he saw an opportunity to play basketball for another year at the college level and to make money doing it.
I feel like I'm a judge right now because I'm kind of just trying to decide where I land on this.
I agree with your premise, but it's just think now, that would open up Pandora's box if he does this and he played all 4 years. Everybody that played 4 years are also going to say, well, I need to get a fifth year too because this guy Ziegler won this case.
Well, I would assume that if he wins the case, it changes the rule.
You have to change the whole rules as far as getting redshirted.
Yeah, it's
tough.
The
Wild West. It's just, it's not.
I think that's where my issue is.
There are no rules.
That's true.
Like, I don't really know what, like.
I guess I think we're all saying the same thing in different ways in the sense of we don't blame them.
Right.
But maybe this rule should not happen. I think that's where I'm at is like, I don't blame him for trying, but I don't think that this rule should go into place. And it has nothing, I know people are going to be like, well, you're an Alabama fan. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that, to me, I'm sorry, that's just how the NCAA has already been set up, and it's been set up for years about the red shirt and all that stuff. Yeah. The introduction of money is just really the introduction of more, and I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm calling Zakai Zeigler this, but I mean, it's just the nature of wanting money. You're considered greedy. Mm-hmm. And it's the nature of greed of this thing, and like I think at some point someone's going to have to say no, we're not doing this, or not. If not, the wild west continues. And I know that the NCAA is in his current argument with UT and Vandy on various other issues,
state laws,
and state laws and stuff. But at some point, we have to understand eligibility is eligibility in my mind. I don't see any need to change it in grand sweeping situations like this. I get what Diego Pavia's also situation was, but I almost don't agree with that either. Even though I do understand there are two different leagues and all that stuff, you're still playing JUCO college. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Yeah. But I think at some point someone has to say no.
Right. Well, this will be interesting because as much as I'd love to have Ziegler back, I just don't know on this one. This one here is a little different. I think I kind of understood a little bit, and I was 50-50 on the Diego one because I didn't realize that the JUCO was not even part of NCAA. That's I didn't understand. So then that can't count initially in how many years you've played. So if it doesn't connect
I would agree.
To in the court of law, that's how it's going to roll.
Right.
And so, this one here, man, this is going to be a tough one. I hope he can. But it's just we're talking about SEC Player of the Year, right? Pretty much Defensive Player of the Year for sure. And, he probably is not going to get drafted and probably have to play overseas. And I think that's what led him down this road. I'm more against, what happens if it does get approved? Where is the state of Tennessee if he wants to come back and they've already kind of moved forward?
Well, they have one roster spot open. I think they.
Well, he started. This ain't just a roster spot.
Well, right. But I think they've kind of anticipated that this was coming down. I would say that they have anticipated this is coming down the pipeline.
Well, if they anticipated, it shouldn't have taken this long.
I would agree, but I do think that's where they're at.
It should not have taken for him just now to file.
Is this Shay on the line?
Shay, like
Shay.
Michael Shay.
Yeah, give us their opinions because
Yeah.
I'm really conflicted on this one.
Shay, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I wanted to give a take. I'm a Tennessee guy. I'm a little bit biased. I also teach sports law, so I have
It's great.
Yeah.
of this. But I mean, look, obviously, I would love to see Zakai come back. Understand the premise behind why he wants to stay in college, and I think that he's got reasonable grounds to stand on because of the changing landscape, particularly because of the money side of things. And we got to keep sight of that, right? Because the issue that he's saying is like this is a unfair restraint on trade, right? And the trade being the practice of basketball, and that if they're giving a bend of the rule, whether it's related to a redshirt or otherwise, it's still a 5-year window, right? So, I think it's reasonable. I hope he gets it, and I'll sit back and listen. But I want to make sure everybody's just keeping in mind that, like, talking big dollars and cents now, and since the landscape has changed to allow for those dollars and cents, we need to take into consideration: are we preventing somebody from having that additional year, even if we bend the rule just a little bit?
Shay, before you go, how would you argue the case against Zakai?
Well, the case against him would be that it, the reason for the rule is because of the amateurism, right? Wanting to maintain the sport, and then you don't want perhaps someone who, is physically bigger, better, stronger by the nature of their age that could harm or injure others. That's one case against him, right? So that you got to balance it right with antitrust. Right? So you got to say the pro-competitive balance, the competition, keeping a level landscape of people of the same age, skill set, etc., is the reason the rule exists. But that was a good argument prior to bringing in the money component in it, right? So that's the argument that is really sort of going to be balanced, is the pro-competitive benefit of having an amateur play and, amateur sports based on these rules that you need to be of this certain age. You can only have this many years so that you stay within the, amateur makeup, if you will, versus is this a legal restraint of trade, the restraint of the ability for someone to make money in a fifth year like you're allowing, say, a Pavia to do, or say someone who comes from JUCO or someone who redshirts. We can't necessarily pinpoint the exception based on just our own feelings and based on the rule set because it's always been there. We got to say, okay, does the rule set need to be altered because we've altered it in one way? Do we alter it in another? So
does this come down to a difference of classifying athletes as employees or keeping them as athletes? Does that play into this? Because if they change this, does that mean that they're employees and then other rules and sanctions could be allowed by other legal ways? I know I'm putting you on the spot here and stuff, but you're the expert the first expert we've gotten on the phone, so I want to take advantage of it.
I appreciate it. Wow. So I, for those who might know my name, I don't want to make sure that I'm giving legal advice on the air, but I think, look, so there's a specific reason why the NCAA hasn't made, and universities haven't made players employees, right? Because with employment, you do get contracted, but you also get benefits and the ability to, have labor rights and unionize, etc. So I don't know if it necessarily takes it to that step of, automatically assuming that they're becoming employees. But, I mean, yeah, it would probably be a gradual progression subjectively. Would employment render the rules needing to be changed? Absolutely. Because, again, one, there would be a sort of an arbitrary restriction on employment if you have different rules depending on how someone treats that fifth year. Additionally, right, they would unionize and they would probably seek sort of conditions that were persistent with, what the athletes wanted, which would probably be that fifth year to just be universally accepted. So yeah, I mean, that's a bigger question. At a macro level, employment would absolutely change the circumstances, and NCAA doesn't want that, and universities probably don't want that. But that's where this is heading. And I mean, I'd love to talk about that any day of the week. I do have a random.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say we have to go to break, but Che, if you would stay on the line so Jackson gets your number, because I'd love to have you on to talk about all this sometime during the summer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll do it.
All right, cool. We have to go break. Thank you, Che, for that. When we come back, we'll talk more about University of Tennessee sports, all things about it, baseball, football, basketball, with Reese Van Haaften of Channel 6. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Let's talk insurance. My new client, King and Associates Insurance in Brentwood. They're independent agents, and that's a big difference. But it goes beyond just having multiple companies to shop, weeding out the non-competitive companies, keeping great relationships with the biggest and best, along with bundling. But unfortunately, life happens, and they get it. Here's a true story about a friend and a coworker that switched from a previous independent agent and got better coverage on his home and its contents and even his automobiles, flawless communication, and a true champion in his corner after his 16-year-old daughter had an accident and they saved them thousands of dollars. And those thousands from an independent agent who was overcharging them for years. And you can make the switch and save, well, not now, but even for later. So don't make the switch because I said so. Switch because you should. And as a business, family, or individual, make the switch to King and Associates. And make sure you make good use of that money as well, as we all could do for some extra bucks. And all you can do is just give them a call at 615-329-8121. That's 329-8121. Or you can check them out online at tkinginsurance.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. And we're going to the phones to bring in Reese Van Haaften, sports director of WATE Channel 6 over in Knoxville. And Reese, the big news is that Zakai Zeigler has filed a lawsuit to claim a fifth year of eligibility. Can you walk us through just the general points of the lawsuit for the listener? That way we kind of understand everything that's going on with it and why now and why Zakai.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into legal jargon, it's tough all around, even for journalists, because you have to decipher whatever legal jargon is and then regurgitate it in a way that people can understand. But essentially, Zakai is saying that it's not fair that the NCAA is limiting him to 4 years when in theory, people can have 5 years in general, especially if he got injured early or whatever. Obviously, we saw him get hurt in that one game, but it was so late in the season, it didn't matter. So it's not fair in that he was limited in his NIL earnings due to this, and then he needs to have another year because his biggest time to earn NIL would be in that fifth year, which is obviously the case because he's a fan favorite, right? So he's just saying that the NCAA, it's not okay and it's not fair that he doesn't get this fifth season because he deserves that fifth season because other players are getting it. It just gets a little confusing all around when you have the baseball situation and that guy didn't get approved. So it's like, is this going to work out for him? Is this going to go quickly enough? We know how courts work. So I guess that's the best way of summarizing it. I know it's not very clear. It's clear as mud, but that's the best way I can describe it. Is he's just saying it's not fair that he didn't get a fifth year because other people have, and his NIL earnings would be at the most right now in this fifth year if he was able to get it. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but where do you side on it? I mean, is this a point where the NCAA, or I guess now the courts have to kind of say, no, we need to put a stop to, instead of saying yes to everything, started putting no and restrictions in place? Because this seems like if it starts at 5, what's to stop it to go to 6? What's to stop it to go to 7?
Yeah, that's the hard thing is like, what is the NCAA at this point if this passes, right?
Right.
I love Zakai, and I would love to watch him return. He's one of the best players to watch from a point guard standpoint, a small dude who's just making things happen. But from a integrity standpoint, I kind of hope it doesn't because it's just so. For a while there, I didn't even know what year guys were. I'm sure you guys can attest to that as well. And if this passes, we're going to be right back to where we were, where it's like, are you a senior? Or are you a super senior? How many years have you? I mean, we still have guys who have been playing for 6-7 years in the NCAA, and those, it's like, what is happening? So personally, I think it's time to cut it off at 4 years, but who knows?
Just looking at it, I mean, I guess how strong is it's not fair argument for Zakai Zeigler? Because I understand it. I would probably be doing the same thing if I was in his shoes with the limited amount of money that I'd probably be able to make in the pros as the basketball player. But at the same time, that doesn't seem like a real good reason to upend everything that's already being upended and has yet to calm down.
Yeah, and Alberto Ozuna was the baseball player I was talking about. Since he didn't get approved to play, I'm like, there's no way this is going to win, right? But like we've seen in the past that it doesn't always make sense, right? So I don't see it getting passed or him winning, but like we've seen crazier things happen, so it could, but I just don't think it will happen. Now I understand why Zakai Zeigler is doing it, and if I were him, I'd do the exact same thing. Why not? I mean, you're making millions here at UT. I would go all out. I just don't see it happening, but who knows?
I mean, the worst everybody could say is no, right? Like, I mean, you might as well ask.
Exactly.
I mean, might as well try.
Exactly.
We're on with Reese Van Haaften, the sports director of Channel 6 over in Knoxville.
Yeah, well, Reese, let's just say this to the fans. If Ziegler comes back, he will be the final piece to the puzzle to break through to make it to the Final Four.
Oh, that right there, I agree with that. That one I can share the sentiment on because, the weakest position the team has right now from a roster standpoint is that shooting guard position. Now, if you bring Zakai into the fold, he's not a shooting guard traditionally but we have seen him play off the ball a little bit. His freshman year with Kennedy Chandler, he did a lot off the ball playing, coming off of screens and pin downs. And then you got Jacoby Gillespie, who has a little more size to him and would fit that more shooting guard mold, still more of a point guard, but he could also play off ball. So if you fill that shooting guard role, I don't really see a flaw on this roster. Plus, not to mention that leadership standpoint that Zakai has, that I'm interested to see if the team this year will have without Zeigler. But if you have Zeigler, that leadership aspect, there you go, boom, that's right there. So I agree. They would be a top 5, top 4 team in the nation, in my opinion.
Well, Reese, we had a deep dive, conversation, I guess, a couple of days ago about the Nike versus Adidas deal. Kind of give us your perspective, not only from your view, but also from where do you think the players are on this, as well as the fans.
Yeah, you go on the For You page on X, right, and a bunch of stuff pops up, and you're not really sure if that's the reality of everything. But from what I've seen, everybody is pretty upset that they might be going to Adidas. Personally, I'd prefer the Nike than the Adidas if I was a fan. But I will say in the last 10 years, Adidas has gotten a lot better than what they were 10 years ago. So if you're looking at it from the perspective, these are the jerseys they gave us 10 years ago, I don't think that's necessarily fair to Adidas. Also, if the numbers that are being thrown around, I can understand why Danny White and UT wants to go with Adidas. If you're going to get 10, 15 million more dollars from Adidas than you would from Nike, it's hard to say no to that. But from a player's perspective, the swoosh has always been the brand that everybody wants to be a part of, and I think it all started with Michael Jordan, right? So the swoosh is the brand, right? So it's tough because players. But again, in this era of sports, if you're paying a player $2 million more than every other school, I think it doesn't really matter what brand you're wearing. They're going to take the money in most cases, right? So that's kind of my opinion on that.
Yes, we're on with Reese Van Haaften, Channel 6 News in Knoxville. I guess, and Reese, being a journalist, you've covered all of Tennessee sports, pretty much across the bow of all the sports. But what's been your most memorable moment covering Tennessee in all these sports? They have a lot of success.
That's a fun question, and I actually get asked that quite a bit. I have to go the Alabama game in 2022. That was one of the most memorable, and this past year, don't get me wrong, it was exciting that they beat Alabama, right? It was not the same. Don't let anyone tell you that it was just the overflowing, the fans storming the field. It wasn't delayed like this past year. The fans just came right away as that field goal went through. You just don't know what's going to happen. Alabama scoops and scores, and all of a sudden it's dead silent, but then Hendon Hooker and the boys lead them back, and they win that game. I think that was the best. The Jemai Mashack buzzer beater this year was pretty good too, but hard to top that Alabama game in 2022.
No doubt, I would completely agree with that, and so would Zach, who's a big Alabama fan. But I have to ask you, which Tennessee sport, since they've had a lot of success, football, basketball, baseball, but other than those three, which one would you say deserves a little more coverage and pat on the back that they're doing a pretty good job?
Yeah. Is that including Lady Vol basketball?
Yes, of course.
So I can say them?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say Lady Vol basketball. I think the hire of Kim Caldwell was a tremendous hire. I think she's a lot of fun. She's got some youth. She brings some energy to that program. I think they're a joy to watch. The style looks like it's going to translate. I think she's going to make a few adjustments. I think, honestly, that might be the next team that wins the national title. That's probably a bold statement with all the sports being good, but I think that's the next program. within Tennessee athletics to win the national title, if I'm being honest.
All right, I have to throw in a football question. Can't go without talking about football, but I guess what is your take on the whole Nico and what's his name, Aguilar coming in, and what do you think is going to happen with all that whole situation, and how will it play out? Heupel's a quarterback guru.
Yeah, we don't know all the details, I'm sure. We know some, of course. But the Nico situation, man, I think everybody kind of sided with UT on this one. And what a mess, right? You get Aguilar. It seems like the ceiling is high, but the floor is also low. So we'll see. Heupel's supposed to be, like you said, the quarterback guru. So if he does build it, and there are moments where you look at the numbers and you're like, man, this Aguilar guy could be really, really, really good. And it could be amazing. Now, it also depends on the situations around him, how the wide receiver core looks, how the offensive line looks. I mean, I'm sure you guys talked quite a bit about that because who knows what the O-line looks like. There's a lot of questions. Receiving room, same thing. So hopefully those guys help him out. But there's so many questions that it's like it could be extremely exciting or this could flop terribly. And we don't really know. That's the truth. It's like we'll see when Kent gets around, but that's not really the truth. And then the first game, we'll get more answers because Syracuse is not bad. So we'll see. First time we've had a quarterback controversy since Heupel's first year. So I guess that'll be an exciting experience. It's really hard to say. Like, I don't know. There's so many questions, which could be a good or a bad thing.
Reese, how much I want to bring it back to Zakai Zeigler because someone in the chat had brought this up, is that, is there an open spot for him on this team? How does it affect all of that? Because, I know Blaine and I talked about too, but how much is he worth to the University of Tennessee? Like, how much is he going to get paid? Because you said this will be the most that NIL money he can make. So how much do you think he will actually earn if this were to pass?
$1.2 million.
That's a great question, and I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea the answer. I mean, he's got to make multiple millions, right? I think he's doing pretty well for himself this past year, and because his brand is so strong at this university, I don't think he'd go anywhere else. And his love with Rick Barnes, and he could make a good chunk. The answer to that question, I want to say 2-3 million is what I want to guess, but I don't have a good guess on that at all. That's just a guesstimate. I don't have much knowledge on the NIL situation with money-wise numbers, but I could see quite a bit of money, and especially with his brand and how beloved he is. I mean, we all saw when he walked back on the court after the ACL tear. And he came back and the crowd went nuts, and that was like a game against a mid-major. So I can imagine it's quite a bit.
If Zakai wins and he ends up transferring to UCLA, what happens at the University of Tennessee? Will Knoxville just blow up?
That's the question right now. There's no way that would happen, but that's funny. That is clever.
The 2026 four-star tight end Carson Snead has been committed to Tennessee since last August. It's being reported by Rivals.com that Adam Gorney listed Snead this week as a committed prospect who may flip. His brother flipped to University of North Carolina, wide receiver Dayton Snead. He also had some choice words about University of Tennessee baseball. But apparently there's some concern about just how often the Volunteers throw to their tight end, especially as other top teams come in and try to flip Snead. Is this something that needs to be on the University of Tennessee fans' radar? And what about the offensive scheme, and maybe this could start a trend where you see players want to go elsewhere at the tight end position or maybe even other positions?
I don't necessarily agree with them not using the tight ends a lot. I mean, we saw McAllen Castles get used in a plethora of ways. The Georgia game sticks out when he was essentially a fullback and plowed into the end zone, dove over. I think that was the first score of the game as well. We all remember Princeton Fant. He was used in a ton of ways. So if you're willing to be versatile, Heupel will use you in the offense as a tight end. So I guess if you don't want to be used in a versatile way, then this is not the university for you. But I don't agree with that statement at all, personally.
Gotcha.
I think, I mean, we saw Princeton Fant be a fullback multiple times a couple years ago. And he even threw a touchdown pass. I don't remember who it was against, but we've seen them been using. Jacob Warren got used in multiple ways. They don't always use them in the passing game either, which is kind of true, but I feel like he uses them quite a bit, to be quite honest with you.
Just real quick before we let you go, I have a lot of sparrows in Knoxville media, and a sparrow told me that there is a time at a Virginia game where you got ran over.
Oh gosh, we're gonna talk about this.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence as a journalist, capital J journalist here, if I did not ask this question.
I got rocked by John Campbell Jr. when he was the left tackle that year. He was finishing the block, taking him to the bus, to quote a movie, and I was just in the way. And I got rocked. Luckily, the camera had no damage. I did get a concussion from it, but we're good now. It took a while to recover from that. But, yeah, I got smoked in that game.
Just real quick, fairly early in the Tennessee-Alabama baseball game that's going on right now. It's top of the second with 2 outs. Alabama's on offense. Tennessee's on defense. Tennessee's up 1-0. How big is a rebound would it be for the Tennessee Volunteers to win this game? And can this be a momentum starter for them going forward in the tournament?
Yeah, to put in perspective how important this game, both these teams are on regional bubble host opportunity right now. Tennessee is looking like it's on the outside end, but if they win this game, they'll throw themselves right into the conversation. Now, if you can win this game and tomorrow, you're probably going to host. I can't just guarantee it, of course, but you're probably going to host. So just to put it in perspective how important today's game is, that shows you a lot. Plus, sounds like Liam Doyle's going to pitch tomorrow against possibly Texas. Who knows how the bracket unfolds. So this game is pretty important. As for momentum, I don't know. Like they always win their first game of every series, it seems like, and then things fall off. So they just need to find some consistency and find a way to win games. Luckily, they're winning without Liam Doyle on the bump right now, but win games without Liam Doyle on the bump for the most part. But yeah, the next 2 games are extremely important in order to be hosting here in Knoxville for next weekend's regional.
All right. Thanks, Reese, for joining with us. Of course, Reese Van Haaften. You can listen to him over on Channel 6 over in Knoxville. He's the sports director over there. Reese, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Reese.
Thank you, guys. You have a great day.
Thanks. When we come back, we'll talk more about the University of Tennessee and this tight end situation, because I do think it brings up an interesting discussion about Josh Heupel and his offense in the NFL and everything like that. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's talk about what A to Z Sports wrote. Zach Reagan wrote it, but he's reporting on the Rivals.com National Recruiting Director Adam Gorney, who listed Carson Snead as a committed prospect who could flip. Ole Miss and University of North Carolina are both trying to flip him. University of North Carolina already has flipped his brother, Dayton Snead, a wide receiver from University of Tennessee over here. And, of course, he also said something about UT baseball being trash on Twitter as well. But I kind of disagree, and we didn't really have a lot of time to get into it with Reese Van Haaften, but he's like, well, all the tight ends get used, in multiple ways and all this kind of stuff. But, I mean, what people want to do is catch the ball. They don't want to be used as necessarily a fullback all the time. All this stuff. They want to get into the pros and have a pro-ready resume. And the University of Tennessee has had a hard time producing sustainable success at the pro level at many different spots. But the last two, you could say, that had any kind of success at the tight end position, this is not an indictment on Heupel, by the way, but is Jason Witten and then Luke Stocker, who had played 11 years at the NFL. He wasn't anything more than a tight end 2, tight end 3, but hey, you play 11 years in the NFL, that's sustained success. Yeah. He's, of course, now the tight ends coach here at Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's had success, but at the end of the day, what this guy is saying, this is what Gorney wrote, quote, there is some concern about just how often the Volunteers throw to their tight ends, especially as other top teams come in and try to flip Snead. He's an in-state prospect, and playing in Knoxville is a huge deal, but just how often Snead is going to see the ball is a sticking point. Last year, the top tight end, Miles Kisselman for the Volunteers, caught just 22 passes for 301 yards, which was number 12 in the SEC. So, I mean, at what point, and listen, Heupel's system works at college, but at some point, these players are going to see that the Tennessee Volunteers are putting players to get drafted in a position to get drafted, but they're not putting them in a position to succeed long term. And some of that's going to be on the players too, right? I mean, it's got to be their blame. But this system, at what point does this become an issue? Obviously not one player doing it, but now you've had two players and they're in the same family, so maybe that's not a big deal. But at what point does it start to become an issue?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure on that one. It's just kind of interesting that they're recruiting a player's brother who just left, right?
Yeah. His brother just left for the University of North Carolina, who's now trying to get this player to join his brother at University of North Carolina.
So the player would have to actually have a lot of insight. So with the guy transferring and then now seeing, I don't know when he committed, but then, your parents get to go see both of y'all at the same place. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that really has any, I guess say so over if other players may start, transferring. I definitely don't agree with that. But, the tight end position is a flex position now, and they want to get the ball probably at least half as much as the wide receivers do. So that then will be an issue depending on which tight ends want to go there. And if they don't, they'll go somewhere else that'll throw them the ball. I mean, I think they utilize the tight end, but not to that level where they have flex. Now, they may feel like they haven't had that kind of talented
That's true.
tight end. So, and it's hard to do that if you're not showing a lot where you're flexing out and throwing them the football.
Right.
Which, when you're having issues with receivers, as they said they were, tight end typically becomes your safety valve and should get a lot of, even if it's short pass. So that is just kind of not mixing and matching. But there was some times they did use the tight end as a fullback, mostly in the backfield. Some don't want to do that. Flex guys sometimes, but they didn't utilize them a lot. They're going to get just good, solid players at that position. I would say,
but also,
maybe not an elite guy.
Yeah, the NCAA doesn't just use tight ends a lot. I don't know if this is really a Josh Heupel issue. I know we kind of started out kind of saying that it may be, but the more when I kind of think about it, you think about these guys that you're talking about guys that get 600-700 yards or your top tight ends sometimes in some draft classes. I know Alabama, O.J. Howard was the last big one that they've had, but they've had Irv Smith, but then they've had a bunch of guys that they never really use their tight ends, right? They had really good wide receivers.
Right.
And I just wonder if the tight end position is just not as valuable in college as what the NFL values it. And I think that's why we see so many, it take a while for some tight ends to start making their mark once they're drafted.
Well, I think that's why they feel like they got to get the ball. They got to be thrown to a lot to even get noticed for the NFL, because really you can teach somebody that's a 1-2 to block. But running routes, and most of those guys who are having a lot of success were converted type receivers who then end up being great tight ends.
Yeah.
It's kind of an issue, but I don't think that's nothing to worry about if you're Tennessee. I think you're right. It's a lot of that going around the whole country, really.
With him being a 4-star prospect, Jackson, I get the fans' perspective here. I mean, do you consider this kind of something that should be on the fans' radar, or are you just kind of like, it just is what it is?
I mean, there's nothing a fan can do. It's something to watch. I mean, if a 4 or 5-star recruit is potentially going to flip, yes, it is absolutely something to watch. There's also nothing that Heupel or anybody that they're not going to change their offensive philosophy to get one tight end to commit to them. So it's just something to watch, something to monitor. And if it continues to happen, if you continue to get these 4 or 5-star tight end commits that then either transfer after 1 year or flip to another school, then I think that's when you need to look internally.
Gotcha. I would agree with that. I would think that's the way to look at it. Let's go to Ethan, who wants to talk about the tight end. Ethan, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in, man. I think you're kind of, I think we look at the 4-star and 5-star thing a little too much, overhype that, and so we think, oh, we got this tight end at Tennessee who's a stud, when in reality, I think Heupel just made the decision. He knew what they had going into the season. He knew Sampson was going to be the guy. We didn't really have that many good receivers. Our tight end room obviously isn't – this guy wasn't Brock Bowers. You guys are acting like he's a Brock Bowers type player and we should have threw him the ball more. The reality is the guy is just not that good. Now, if we have a player like a Brock Bowers come to Tennessee, then I think Heupel is a smart enough offensive mind to switch his game plan. But there's a reason why we pretty much leaned on Sampson all season, because we didn't have much more. So that's kind of my input on that.
Well, whose fault is that, though?
Well, he hung up. He didn't allow the question.
Well, I mean, I disagree with what he said. Like, we thought, I didn't say he was a great tight end at all.
We don't even know what this tight end is supposed to be.
Right.
So, he hasn't played ball yet.
And
maybe he's talking about Miles Kisselman, but I'm just reading what Zach Reagan wrote about his stats. I didn't say anything other than that.
But he said they didn't have good receivers. Well, then whose fault is that?
Yeah, I would agree. What do you got, Jackson?
Kitzelman, in my opinion, is just a very valuable red zone target. He was 6th among SEC tight ends last season in touchdowns because he's a big body who, especially with a young quarterback, Nico could throw it up to him in the end zone. He made some nice touchdown catches. I believe he had 2 of his 4 touchdowns against NC State. So he made some nice plays, but he is just more of a possession type tight end. He's not going to be a focal point of your offense.
Yeah, and I think the other point that he was trying to make was like the adaptability or whatever of Josh Heupel.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can get on board with that. And we talked about how, a lot of it's an NCAA thing, not necessarily a University of Tennessee thing. But I do think there is something to this recruit. And what he said, there's some truth. If you want to be pass the ball, if that's your main concern, if you want to be the ball scene come your way, there's a good chance you may not get that at the University of Tennessee. Now, if he turns out to be really good and a valuable part of the offense, then maybe you'll see more targets. But traditionally, this team has either gone all straight to the wide receivers or gone to the running back, and that's just a fact of the matter on the offense right now.
Well, he could be thinking that he should get the ball, and they're telling him that he's not that guy.
Yeah, you'll have to maybe it comes down to something like that, where they're saying, hey, you're going to have to work your way to being that guy. You're not going to come in and be that guy right away, or you're going to have to learn to block or be a fullback, like the Princeton Fant guy that Reese brought up, which was a few years ago. I mean, at some point, I just wonder if this is more of a big issue for the NCAA as far as how they use tight ends. And I wonder if that's something that maybe is bears being on the radar, not necessarily just for University of Tennessee, but where these tight ends land and how they start getting used. It just feels like it's just weird. I guess I should say. It just feels like
what was the
there's
production of Alabama tight end?
oh man, like the last good one was O.J. Howard. I mean, Irv Smith was fine,
Well,
but
pretty good.
yeah, he's all right. He was great in college.
Well,
I mean, not great.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
he
like
went
in
second
college,
round
but that
or
was
something, right?
that was a long time ago, though. I mean that's a lot longer than people think. I mean, Irv Smith. I could date you with some Irv Smith. I mean, that's like 2018, 17. He was drafted. It feels a very long time ago. It's so long.
What make you feel real? Well, I got drafted in the same draft as his dad.
Oh, jeez, that does
Dad
make me
went to
feel.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think he went second round.
Now, Jackson, you told me we have to go to break. What do you want?
Last thing, Alabama's tight end stats for the 2024 season.
Oh,
CJ
terrible.
Dupree, am
Yeah.
I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
He had 21 catches, 256 yards, no touchdowns.
Alabama's never used tight ends, but they also have Ryan Williams
But they have some elite receivers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It feels like there's something about the tight end position in football that seems to be going away, and it may just be because of the cannibalism of the wide receivers. And that's just how it is. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Stinky, stinky, stinky. Was it like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Smelly, greasy old rags laying around all over the place on the countertops and countertops you wouldn't dare touch. Anything that stinks at the repair shops that keep your car forever, they're not honest and they don't call you back when they say they will. Was that your last experience at a vehicle repair shop? Hey, it's Blaine Bitch to tell you about Eurofix, and they'll take the stink out of European auto repair. And at Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit and not high-pressure sales tactics. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. You never pay dealer pricing. It's been family-owned for 26 years, located all over the state of Tennessee in Franklin, Hunted Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right. 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine sent you.
2:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Tennessee's SEC Tournament Opener baseball is underway as the Vols lead the Crimson Tide 2-0 in the top of the third in Hoover. In NFL news out of the Spring League meetings, the tush push lives on as the Packers' proposal to ban the play popularized by the Philadelphia Eagles did not reach the 75% of votes threshold to pass. The Titans were one of the 10 teams to reject the proposal. Roger Goodell also announced today that the Buffalo Bills will be the subject of this season's Hard Knocks during training camp. The NBA Western Conference Finals got underway last night as the Oklahoma City Thunder took a 1-0 series lead with a 114-88 win over Minnesota. The Eastern Conference Finals begin tonight as the Knicks host the Pacers. Tip-off at 7 p.m. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. The tush push has been, the ban did not go through. They needed 24 votes today to ban the tush push, but only got 22. And according to Adam Schefter, here are the 10 teams that voted against the tush push ban: Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, and your Tennessee Titans. As it survived, it should also be noted that this is from Jordan Schultz. Speaking to several league sources, the arguments made today by Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie, assistant GM John Ferrari, and former center Jason Kelsey showed up, and he made an impassioned speech. The speeches were described as passionate, video-supported, and data-driven. Their case may have kept a few key votes on Philly's side to save the tush push from being banned. And when I think you've been a big proponent, Blaine, of keeping the tush push. Now, I know that I think it feels like to me, and let me get your opinion on this, feels like to me the NFL is trying to ban the tush push before something bad happens, because they say they have injury concerns, but there's no data to really prove that there are injury concerns to be had. But it feels like to me this is more of a ban, a little bit based out of fear of maybe someone breaking their neck down the line. Or breaking anything, I guess you should say.
Well, first and foremost, I'm kind of in the middle on this.
Okay.
I've never been on either side of this, because what I've said before is that you kept from on field goal blocks guys from pushing people, and they banned that. To me, I look at this as just like when you get in the open field and they're talking about using the crown of your head, or when you're out in the open field. Well, that's what happens when you're out there, blocking. You're kind of somewhat diving at people's knees, and then you're going to crunch them down and they can get their neck. I can remember Chris Jones, happened to him, the D tackle for the Chiefs, come running off after the tush push, and his neck was all messed up, and he wasn't right after the rest of that game.
Yeah.
So was that in the Super Bowl, or was that?
It was in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah. So I do believe whether data's there or not, guess what? That's not on the data, but we all saw it.
Yeah.
And so being a player, I think it is a health concern there for the guys in the trenches. I mean, just think now, you got the whole bunch of 300-pound guys all, following at you, you're diving in. I just feel like what data says doesn't tell you. You must know if you're a player. And so, hey,
because how many injuries do we not hear about, or how many people have heard
goes on all
something,
over the time.
right?
So data on injury issues, I would say, I think it's more like a rugby play. And back, if people go look at the history, I think I'm right on this, is that that's why that play wasn't run for a long time in the National Football League, is because they banned it when it first started in the league in the beginning of its time. So I don't think it's you applaud them for bringing it back, and it's hard to stop, but I don't too much care for it. And then, by the way, I think this is the main reason why I think it didn't get banned, is it only is run 0.001% in a game. So we're talking about having a discussion about a game or play that only happens very rarely in a game. But we see it a lot because they're emphasizing a lot because the Eagles and the Bills run it the most. And that's how much it's run, where most teams aren't even running. By the way, why did all the teams accept it, including the Titans? Why don't they freaking run it? The Titans have never run it.
Well, they should run it with Will Levis, that's for sure, right? I mean, I don't know if I would do it with Cam Ward. He's a little small guy.
He's small.
Yeah, I mean, he's under 6 foot or 6'1". Yeah, he looks small to me. Like I wouldn't run it with Jaden Daniels.
Oh well, yeah.
And I'm not saying that he's as small as Jaden Daniels, but he just doesn't have that beef on him.
Well, I'm getting
that Jalen Hurts beef.
You're doing jokes. I'm being serious in that.
I'm not doing jokes. He doesn't have this build of Jalen Hurts.
Well, Levis was there last year, and they hadn't run it, and they
should have run it with Will Levis.
So my whole point is, if you're going to vote against it, why don't you utilize it then?
Yeah,
it's a weapon, and obviously you must like it.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I were them. I would Will Levis is by chance going to be here, I would be using it with Will Levis. And using him because he's also a little bit taller. You could push him a little bit further. He's a little bit thicker himself, got that linebacker build. I would have used it last year if I were the Tennessee Titans. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want him passing the ball anyway. And that's a little bit of a joke and a little bit of a truth. I mean, he wasn't very good at that anyway. Jackson, what do you got?
Were the Titans against the proposal to ban it, or were they against the proposal... Or were they for banning it? Because I thought they voted against banning the tush push.
They were for it, right?
No, I said here are the 10 teams that voted against the tush push ban.
Oh, so the Titans were against it. Okay.
Yeah, they want to use it.
Oh,
they're against the ban. They don't want the ban.
Oh,
so they're for the tush push.
Right.
They're
exactly.
against the ban.
See, that's what I took it. That's what he said. So he's saying that. That's why I said the Titans should have used it.
They should have used it.
I thought you were right though. I thought they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, no, they're against the ban. They want to keep the tush push.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So let's say this: there is not enough evidence to them to vote to ban the tush push.
Right. And
we don't know if maybe they would even like it or not.
But all the teams, as I said before, then why aren't they using it?
Yeah, because obviously the Eagles were one of them. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, kind of makes sense. You would do something with that. The Browns, I don't know who would do it for them. I mean, Joe Flacco would probably need a wheelchair after it, and everybody else, Dylan Gabriel, he can't even see over the line. He may be able to sneak him through an offensive lineman's legs or something. Lions would make sense. I feel like they would get pretty creative with it. The Jaguars are Trevor Lawrence. He's a big-bodied quarterback, an athletic one, enough to be able to probably do it. The Dolphins, I don't know why they voted not to do it, to not ban it, because I mean, like, I don't know who Zach Wilson and all those guys. Like, to me, that's where the Saints, Patriots, Jets, and Titans were the last few. I mean, Jets with Justin Fields. I wonder if they do start running it with them. I just, for me, I was a little surprised that they voted to keep it. If you're some of these NFC teams that are going to see the Eagles in the playoffs, right? I mean, because that's a clear competitive advantage, and maybe that's not how they want to vote. Maybe they don't want to vote with a clear competitive advantage in mind and have a little bit of bias. But if I was the Lions, I would be wanting to get rid of the Eagles' competitive advantage, right? I mean, wouldn't you?
You would think that's what would happen. I did think they would make adjustments. As I said, I was 50-50. I thought they would make adjustments where you can't come up and run back and run up the guy's back and push them forward. Now, if you want to run the tush push with the lineman, that's fine. But then trying to pull or push a player, they've been a big advocate over the National Football League for a long time against that. And so I thought they would kind of alter the rules where they couldn't push the guy, the quarterback, from behind. And they didn't. So that's kind of what I thought would happen. But I've been wrong a lot of the time. That was one of them. They didn't adjust that at all.
Yeah, they did try to. I guess Green Bay did try to change the wording just a little bit to make sure that it's the push and the pull and all that kind of stuff. It's like no player, not just running backs. It was no players. It's supposed to be more of a reemphasis of the rule that was currently in there that somehow is getting circumvented. It's a lot of in and outs and CBAs and stuff that it's from like 2004 or something, but they were trying to get rid of it all. And what's interesting is that I remember that Mike Vrabel was trying to like poke holes in it in the first go around back in March with this when this got brought up. And I figured that maybe the Packers rewording of it all and redoing the language was because that would strengthen the Patriots to join them on this. And the Patriots still ended up voting with the Eagles on the Eagles side, not the NFL side / Packers side.
I bet Vrabel uses it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see him use it. I would not be surprised if he uses it.
And against the Titans.
Now it becomes, right. Now it becomes, to me, how do defenses stop this? And that's the biggest question I still haven't been able to figure out. When we come back, we'll talk more about that. We'll also talk to Larissa, who's on the line as well. We'll also talk about the Tennessee Titans and another year of roster overhaul and how that kind of affects. And it's really more of a bigger statement on the NFL than it is about Titans, but how that affects building consistency, continuation, and sustained success in the NFL. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Guys, if something's holding you back from performing at your best, it's time to do something about it with performance enhancement treatment packages from Edge Peptide. Whether in the gym or on the course, with Edge Peptide and hormone therapy, you can show up stronger, feel better, recover faster, and stay in the game longer. You also can boost your energy, build some lean muscle mass, and heal from those nagging injuries. And as an athlete myself, I know how those injuries can affect your game. So if you're struggling with joint pain, suffering from a recent injury, or looking to recover faster after surgery, Edge has you covered. From peptide packages to PRP, stem cell, and high film muscle stimulation, Edge is your exclusive Nashville area peptide specialist. So don't wait till summer to feel your best, and don't trust your health to some online freaking pharmacy. And remember, at Edge, your consultation fee for $250 is waived with your initial order. And all you have to do is just go to edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com. Or you can give them a call today at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. How do you stop the tush push? 5 Desmond Watsons, 465 pounds, right on the defensive line.
Dang, so 5 times basically 500.
Yeah. 5 times 500 is the way you're going to be able to do it.
I don't know. Maybe Troy Polamalu type jumping over the... Is that legal?
See, that was the thing. Was Jeremy
No,
Chin...
he flew over. I'm talking
over.
about flying over.
Yeah.
I don't know how much power you got. Troy Polamalu did pretty good job with that.
Maybe that's what you need. You need 5 Troy Polomalus, 5 Desmond Watsons.
Well, you can have your linebackers and safety guys and let them dive, the D linemen dive at the legs, and then they just dive over the top. But you got to have long hair because that gave Troy Polamalu his power.
So you got to have Talana Hafunga.
Yeah,
he
can do it.
He can do it. There you go.
Either that or he's going to get hurt. He's always hurt.
But we could make a lot of money for an NFL team if we could figure out how to ban, or not ban it, but how to stop the tush push on a consistent basis.
I knew how to stop that.
It'd be great. Let's go to Larissa and see if she has any ideas on the tush push. What you got, Larissa?
I do not have any ideas. But you guys are knocking it out the park. I will just say that.
Oh, thank you.
Cover 2 is in the building. Football is such a full contract sport. And I'm going to be quick because the Buck Rising show, they'll knock you out with Oscar music.
Yeah, we don't have Oscar music here. We let our callers go. I heard them play the music. I want you to know, I was in my car. I heard them play the music. I said, I can't believe they did her like that.
Oh, no, I am throwing straight shade. As much as I like them, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So, people, be very selective on the shows you call. But at the end of the day, I'm not understanding it, why there's so much controversy in regards to the tush push. Football is a contact sport, and we all know that. And this is why I'm not getting it. I mean, is it because the Eagles perfected that particular move? Is it what is it? So talk to me like I'm a 2-year-old because I'm not getting why there's so much controversy. But keep rocking, guys.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna hang up and listen.
All right. I think it's twofold. In my opinion, I think it's that the Eagles are really good at it. Nobody else is. Yeah. And
the Bills.
Yeah, or the Bills. I mean, they're batting, I think, 50% on their tush pushes. I mean, to me, selfishly, I wanted a gone because I need my Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown checks to cash on bets. I mean, it's Jalen Hurts just steals touchdowns all the time, and it drives me nuts.
Okay.
Fantasy football betting, all that kind of stuff. But I think the other part is I think NFL is trying to get out ahead of a major medical disaster that could happen on the field in one of these plays, because there is a lot of people clanging helmets, clanging heads, trying to stop it. Because the defense, I mean, like you said, Chris Jones, you talked about that in the Super Bowl. But we talked about players flying over, players trying to start off sides and all this kind of stuff and trying to do the defenses are just going to get more creative, which could mean more violence, could be more accidents that are prone to happen. And I think as part of it is the NFL is trying to get out ahead of a major injury happening to one of its star players in the league. But I would say that most teams are probably voting for the competitive disadvantage that they're at versus where the Eagles are at.
So you're saying they're voting on it because they're trying to stay ahead of it?
I think it's trying to stay ahead of it. I think they're predicting and expecting a worst-case scenario coming down soon.
But they're going to look back because they kept voting it down. They could have prevented it if another one comes down the pipe.
No. Okay, so again, 22 teams voted they want to ban it. And I think the NFL wants it banned. But they didn't have enough votes. They were short 2 votes to ban it. So I think 22 teams, I think the NFL, if I were to venture a guess, I think all these rules that come down or proposed are from the NFL. And I know they're proposed by teams, quote unquote by teams, but I think it's by the NFL. And I think the NFL is trying to get out ahead of it because they're afraid that a major superstar is going to get injured. And I also think it brings competitive balance to the league as well. And I think that's what they're doing. And
they're not using the argument of injury issue, though. They said there's no data.
Well, yeah, that's what the Eagles said. And that's the issue, right? You're trying to say it's for the health of the team or for the health of the players. by a organization that doesn't really care about the health of the players because they're trying to do an 18th game. All these games overseas, right? I mean, like,
no, they're
talking out both sides of their mouth.
There's going to be 20 games in 5 years.
Ultimately, they're talking out both sides of their mouth. They're trying to get something banned without the data, and then here comes the other side of it, and the guys that are in favor of it, the Eagles. And guess what the Eagles came with? Data, passion, and film. Well, that's pretty convincing for some of these other teams that may have been on the fence. And if you're trying to treat this as you have to have the burden of proof and the evidence, the NFL does not have the evidence on its side to be able to ban the tush push for health concerns, in quotation marks.
Yeah, they may be trying to be out ahead of it. Maybe they want to see what the fans' thoughts are and having articles out and they're voting for it and see what the talk is all about it. But, hey, man, you got to give credit to the Eagles bringing it back, but I just don't like the play because they've taken it away from defensive, players. And we're talking about when defensive players used to push people on the freaking field goals, they said you couldn't do that. And it was a guy like over the center, over the guard. And this is somewhat the same. Or it's no different than when you're saying guys go hit somebody in the head. That's part of the game. You tell your quarterback not to throw you the ball.
Yeah.
But you expose you to that kind of. So, to each his own. You got to give him props. But, I don't like the play. I feel like it's rugby.
Yeah, I think.
And a lot of those rugby dudes can play in the NFL now, by the way. But you got to go watch some rugby.
I think if it didn't just reek of everybody's mad at the Eagles because they perfected the one play, like I think that's where the majority of the sentiment lies with fans. The fans think that it's the majority of this is all about, well, the only Eagles can do it. Maybe you guys should just learn how to do it too. That's what they think. And we have kind of brought that up as like, some of these teams that said we are not banning the tush push. We are for the tush push. Should use it.
Yeah, they should.
Now, we've seen the Bills try to use it. And again, they're not as successful as the Eagles, but they were successful, right? I mean, it still brought you more success.
And they got a bigger quarterback.
Yeah, and it still brought you more success than you would have if you had other play calls, right? If you're talking about a game of stats and data, well, the Eagles said that this play provides us the greatest success rate to convert a 4th and short or to convert a touchdown in the red zone. I agree with you. If that's what the data says and the data proves that, well, why aren't other teams trying to do it? Why are they so afraid to do it? Is it because they don't have the offensive line to do it? Is it because they don't have the quarterback to do it? Like, figure it out at some point. And so it kind of reeks among the fans across the entire NFL that is like, because, I mean, a lot of people are pro tush push.
Wow.
And they just seem.
I'm a fan.
A lot of people, like, not even a fan of the Eagles, just fans of the football in general.
Yeah, it's a fan. I get why.
But it's because they think this is all crybaby from the other teams. When I kind of think that the NFL, I think next year it gets banned, if I had to guess. Like, if I were betting money, I bet it gets banned next year.
Was it, Jackson, help us out here, was when Josh Allen did the sneak and Jeffrey Simmons stopped it on the goal line, was that a tush push or no? Do you remember that?
No, that was more of that was
just a quarterback sneak.
It was almost like a quarterback off tackle. He took the ball from under center and he ran kind of in that guard tackle gap.
Oh, I thought it was right around the center.
Yeah, I don't think he got pushed. No,
he didn't get pushed, but it was kind of that same philosophy. That's why I said it was just more of a quarterback sneak. But yeah, that was a great play by Jeff Simmons.
It was one of the last I can remember. Let's go to Paxton. He's gonna tweet me on Twitter. Let's go to Paxton, and he wants to talk about the tush push. Paxton, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey guys, good afternoon. So, obviously, we all talked about the 22 teams, and Titans included, that voted in favor of the tush push.
Right.
I don't know if this has already been said, and if it has, I apologize, but I don't necessarily think it was about, the teams that approved the tush push. I think it had more or less to do with things that we use that's not necessarily the tush push, but maybe close to it. So you have a running back, for example, that's running down the field, and you got, one of the big uglies coming behind him to help push him for the extra yardage. Well, if you ban the tush push, aren't we banning the assistance that's for, a running back trying to gain those extra yards?
So it's something I kind of thought more about. I mean, it seems like that will have to be banned as well. And that's something that all 32 teams will use. We see that all the time. So I'm thinking more or less that it's the teams not wanting the ability to be able to do that. And quite frankly, that would really make the game, it just makes it slower because you're going to get flags on almost every play when the running back is, hitting that hole and you got some big guy behind him helping him push to gain a few extra yards. So I want to get y'all's thoughts on that if y'all hadn't already talked about it, guys.
I mean, that's a good point because in the updated proposal that the Packers put in, it says pushing or pulling a runner, not a quarterback, a runner in any direction at any time or lifting him to his feet would be banned. So they had multiple different things right there.
I thought
so
that
it's
was
any
banned.
runner.
At one point, I thought you couldn't pull a player forward.
So that was through 2005. You would be right because this proposal offers. This is what I was trying to say, but I couldn't remember. Which offers a broader stance, hearkening back to the rule set from the league start through 2005. So therefore, something changed in 2005, which nobody's actually said what has actually changed and when that changed or whatever. But that changed after 2005, and now they're trying to bring it back to 2005. With this rule change that eventually failed.
Yeah, I thought it still existed. I knew it was a rule because that was during my time. So, that's probably why I thought it shouldn't be allowed because we couldn't do it.
Yeah. So now because this does say, because it was revised, I guess, just for the quarterback, I guess at one point. But now in the updated proposal that got turned down, pushing or pulling a runner in any direction at any time or lift him to his feet would be banned.
Yeah, because I think we got penalized. I think Lorenzo Neal was pushing and pulling like Eddie or something, on a goal line play. And we got penalized. And I was like, what?
So maybe there is something to what Paxton said, where that maybe some teams were like, no, we've pushed a couple of our players to success. I can remember a couple of times where Derrick Henry gets stopped a little bit and the offensive line are coming to push him, right? Mm-hmm. We see it all the time. It's not just Derrick Henry, but we've seen it all the time. But maybe that is the reason why some of these teams were like, no, we want to have the push. I believe even Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears last year, I think, got pushed a couple of times.
Even Levis, I think, as well.
And in fact, Levis.
Scrambling.
Yeah, when he was scrambling. So there are moments like that. What about Traylon Burks a couple of years ago at the Cincinnati game? Wasn't that Cincinnati game? Am I thinking that right? Where he got pushed, he picked up a fumble, then got drugged into the end zone.
Yes, he recovered it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that there would be another play. So there are plays like that in the NFL where maybe that's what's the real holdup. Maybe the Packers went too far in their revision and trying to ban all runners, and maybe that is what got it held up. Instead of just keeping it to the tush push itself, expanding it to all runners on all plays in all situations. Maybe that is the issue.
Yeah, that's why they did it purposely, so it would get banned.
So,
would not get banned.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But, man, I would just wonder. Let's go to Bobby who wants to talk about the tush. Bobby, man. You're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, I think it should be banned.
Yeah.
Think about it back to the Washington Eagles game last year where they were sitting on the goal line for like 5 minutes because that one player kept trying to jump over the line. That could hurt somebody in the long run. I'll hang up and listen.
I agree, Bobby. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that we talked about was that, these defensive coordinators are probably going to have to get more creative, and that could lead to more injuries. I mean, they called those personal fouls, and then they threatened to kick the guy out. And no, they threatened to just give him the touchdown. I mean, they were going to get the touchdown anyway, but they threatened to give him the touchdown and forfeit the play because of all that they were trying to do. And what he was trying to do was launch himself with enough force to hope to just pause or stop Jalen Hurts from getting that tush push.
Yeah, I think I would be that guy trying to do that.
I mean, you would have to, right?
I would be really pissed off. Just first of all the rules are so favorable to the offense at this point in time in the league. I just like, okay, well, what do I have to lose? Just give me a penalty. He's probably going to score anyway.
Right.
At least I get a jab on him. Bang.
I mean, I'm with you, right? Like
I'm putting Jackson out there.
I lean more on the defensive side of football, like that mentality and everything. And if I was a defender, I would be listen,
I'd be
I ain't
pissed.
gonna lie.
I'd be pissed.
I'd probably be labeled the dirtiest player in the game because I'd be looking for every little thing that I could do to try to stop the tush push.
Yeah, I don't know. We would have to have a great game plan.
Yeah. I mean, like, it would just be, I just don't know how you do it because every time they come up with a way that a team thinks this is the play. This is the play that we got. We've scouted the tush push. We're going to be able to do it. We're going to have Chris Jones dive in here, and we're going to have this guy go in here, and that's going to stop it. Doesn't stop it.
Yeah.
It just seems so unstoppable.
Say it was the playoff game. They were playing at home, I think, the Eagles. It was the snow game. Who they play? Green Bay? Who were they playing this past? I want to say it was Green Bay. It was
I think it was Green Bay.
Or it might have been the Commanders. They almost stopped. They only got barely got a half a yard. And it was just enough to get the first down. It was the first, one of the first ones that they did in that game. I want to say it was. And I was like, oh, they might have stopped it. And they did not.
They did not.
They
just have a hard time stopping it. It's just weird. Let's go to Philly Mike. Philly Mike, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Philly Mike.
What I'm going to say, man.
Oh, Philly guy. Oh, yeah. You know you want to push push.
Hey, Blaine, you know what I'm going to say, brother. First of all, that game was against the Rams in the snow.
Oh, the Rams. It was the Rams, yes.
Right. Well, we just ran over those guys again, but I can't wait. We beat them at home and beat them away, and I can't wait till we go to Lambeau Field. We play the Packers there this year, and we're going to run that baby 4 or 5 times right down their throat. So I can't wait for that one. I hope that game is on the Sunday night because we will go in there and crush those chumps, man. That's all I got to say, baby.
Wait, real quick before you go, Philly Mike. Do you think it's crybabies talk, or do you think there's actual legit health concerns? Do you think this is all crybaby stuff?
Yes, I do, because if it was health concerns, they would stay at 16 games and do a lot of other things to protect the players. So they just can't stop it. That's all.
I agree. I think the NFL does have a great tendency to talk out both sides of their mouth, and they're very good at it. In fact, so good at it, I think Roger Goodell's about to get an extension from what I've read. So
it's $50 million next year, to $80 million.
Yeah. Let's go to Avery. Who wants to talk about the tush? Avery, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Yeah, I kind of agree with y'all earlier about what y'all are saying. First-time caller to 104.5 The Zone. Been listening for a long time.
Thank you.
But first-time caller. And, yeah, I'm just going to kind of agree with y'all. Like, I don't think it should be banned because why wouldn't every other team get a, 75%, third down and one, goal line conversion? So, yeah, I think the banning of it and the safety, if that was an issue, that would have already been brought up a lot. From the previous caller, I heard them say that. So, yeah, I was just putting my opinion in. And, yeah, great talk, guys.
I agree.
Thank you.
Listen, I do wonder because the NFL is trying to be so data-driven. I do wonder, and I'm so curious why more teams don't do it. And I wonder if they practice it and it's just not successful and they're scared to keep it out in the NFL. I would love to poll. To go into these rooms and talk to these head coaches, the offensive coordinators, and say, why are you guys so risk adverse to doing the tush push? Is it truly that Jalen Hurts can squat 600 to 700 pounds and you have the best offensive line? Because, Josh Allen has a good offensive line. He's a big guy, but they at least attempt it. Why don't other teams attempt it? Is it just personnel? And then if it's personnel, why aren't you trying to find the guys that can do it? Because right now it's one of the most successful singular plays you can run in the NFL, and a lot of teams don't do it.
Well, yeah, for a third and short. Yeah. And I don't think you would be practicing that play.
Would you not? Well, would you? I guess I do wonder how you can practice it.
Actually do the play. You can walk through the play.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're actually practicing that play.
Yeah.
I think they happenstance say we're going to do this in the game, and then it happened, and they realize, we're going to do it again and again. Then they go, well, dang, this is unstoppable.
Yeah.
I think that's how it came about.
Because, Jason Kelce, there was big talks last year when Jason Kelce retired. Mm-hmm. They were like, well, Jason Kelce's the engine that makes it go. The way that he is able to snap the ball or whatever is something that he was able to do. And there were concerns that Cam Jurgens may not be able to do it.
That's not
and ended up Cam Jurgens ended up being able to pick it up like that. There was something the way that he times it or something. I have to look it up and see if I can find it during the break. But there was something about Jason Kelsey and the way that he was able to time it for the rest of the offensive line and the quarterback to fool the defense. It was something weird. I'll have to find it. But there were concerns coming out of Philly and in the NFL over that last year. I do agree with someone in here is T-Man615 on the F&M Bank chat, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. And it's kind of my thing about that Cam Newton game where the woman rode into the Tennessee and complained about Cam Newton scoring at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Don't let the offense get there in the first place. What the hell are we talking about? Right. I kind of agree with them. We'll talk more when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Stop them.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Last call for phone calls here on the show. We're going to go to a phone call. We're going to go to Jason. Jason, what you got about the tush?
Hey, man, this is how I see it. I understand. I get it. The guys are just trying to win the game. But with a tush push, you have all this field, all these players, 11 players, and that's all you want to do is just do a little tush push, and you're also getting paid to entertain the world. Let's do something besides the tush push. Show us what you got with your 11 players. That's all I got to say.
So you just wish there was a more creative play instead of the tush push.
Yeah, it's boring. Like, nobody wants to see that.
They can't stop it. I'm with you, though.
You get paid millions of dollars, millions of dollars
I agree.
to do something. So show us something you got.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, I get it. That's a unique perspective. We haven't had that one. It's like, I just find it boring. You got all these players getting paid millions of dollars, and this is what you choose to do?
Yeah.
But hey, sometimes when you get cute, you get butt fumbles and stuff like that. So, better be safe than sorry, I guess.
What's the quarterback's name? Sanchez.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez. Yeah.
Sanchez. Oh, my. That was Woody, what's his name? Damian Woody, too. It was the guard there.
Yeah. What you got, Jackson?
Didn't the Titans have like 4 straight plays from the one and not score?
Yes, they did.
Season?
I think it felt like that happened twice, did it not? I know it happened once. Yeah.
Yes, I want to say it was against Lions and Jaguars.
Yeah, Lions and Jaguars happened twice. Oh. Because we were on the show complaining, and they even asked them because they passed all 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. I think that one series Tony Pollard ran twice, got stuffed, and then they went to 2 passes on 3rd and 4th down. And then the other series they just went all passes at one point. And then remember, there's wasn't it an interception against the Patriots as well that Mason Rudolph threw? Am I remembering that right?
Oh, I don't remember.
But it got bounced off Chigg's hands. And remember, it bounced off Chigg's hands, and then I think that was Will Levis. Maybe. I don't know, but again,
but the
I
Detroit
agree.
Game was a debacle anyway.
Why not run the ball? Because you're on the 1-yard line. So
you got to trickle.
Yeah, it worked out. Let's. By the way, we're supposed to be positive about 2025 , and here we are.
We got to make fun of what happened last year.
It was bad. It was bad.
That's the only way we can operate, man.
Keep laughing to keep from crying. Yeah, okay, let's go to Kendall, who wants to talk about the tush. Kendall, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Falling asleep.
Hey, so let's say back in '99, if Kevin Dyson catches that pass on the 1-yard line, and we had 2 seconds left, nobody in Tennessee would complain about the dang tush push being done with Steve McNair to win that Super Bowl. But now all of a sudden nobody likes it. It's not entertaining. It's okay. If you can't stop it, then you just can't stop it. I don't think they should outlaw it. I think people need to figure out how to stop it. It's obviously not successful with everybody, so it can be stopped. You just got to figure out how to stop it. That's all I got to say.
There you go, right there.
You know what? I agree with Kendall. Kendall changed my mind there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fully on board. It's up to the it's up to the defenses to not get in that situation anyway, where it warrants that. But also, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to make it our mission this summer. We're going to figure out how to stop the tush push.
The defense's fault. Like the Titans throw interception, they go 99 yards and they get tackled.
They get tackled right there at the 1 yard. Okay, that's not their fault. There's not much you can do. But that's why we got to figure out. We're going to figure it out this year. Me, you, Stoney, Ramon. Somehow, the 4 of us could probably figure out how to stop the tush push.
I think those lineman guys have a better shot at figuring it out.
You can tell us if it's smart though from the defender's perspective.
Jackson should have some input too, man. Jackson, you're a former old lineman.
Jackson's our guinea pig. We're going to put him out there against NFL players, see if he can stop it based on what we design.
That's going to look like one of those videos where you see a kid get run over. Do not do that.
All right, let's go to Bill, who wants to talk about the tush push. Bill, you're on with
me. To that kid, man. That's horrible. They should go to jail.
I got to say, I'm with Kendall. Just having, if you can't stop it, say you can't stop it. Learn to stop it. It's just a play. Football's a game of inches.
There you go. Hey, appreciate it, Bill. Yeah, just a game of inches. I mean, like.
So I'm trying to think of other sports. Like, is that like the sky hook where you can't stop the sky hook, and they say, "Oh no, you can't do a sky hook."
I guess that would. I'm trying to think.
What would be in baseball or? Maybe that'll be our topic for tomorrow. Maybe
is trying to figure out plays in other sports that would be like the tush push.
Yeah, like
trying to get that trying to ban.
Unstoppable play.
All right, listeners, you got your homework for tonight.
Yeah, yeah, man. I want baseball. What is that?
Yeah, Jackson.
Ross has an argument for the tush push.
For the tush push. Okay, Jackson, what is your argument?
I think the tush push is a perfectly fine play for multiple reasons. I'll give you 3 good reasons. One, obviously, like we were saying, you can't let them get into that situation. Obviously, most teams are going to make it in a short, like 3rd and short or 4th and goal, whatever, every game. We talked about the Titans having it this season. So 1, don't let them get there. 2, this is just an example of coaches using their personnel to the best of their abilities. When Mike McDaniel got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the same team, he uses motion so much to where they're snapping a lot of plays with the 2 fastest receivers in football being on the move. I don't hear anybody complain about that. That seems pretty hard to stop.
I'm sorry, 3, that's 60 seconds. Like we only allow 60 seconds on our phone calls here, so sorry about that, Ross. You got to make it quicker next time. That was Ross. Definitely sounds like a guy that would be in favor of a tush push. Let's go to this caller who wants to talk about the tush push. Caller, you're on the air. We didn't get your name. Jackson didn't put your name down. Hello. Oh, man, he'll have to call back, or they'll have to call back. Other than that, I think we had a good discussion on tush push. Who would have thought, because I didn't when I did my rundown, that we would have talked this long about the tush push today. But apparently everybody is really actually a lot more interested in the conversation than I thought they would be. Because I figured they would be sick of it by now. I mean, are you a little sick of the tush push conversation?
No, man. It's like, that's the topic. It's just no different than talking about Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Which we haven't done. And I know people probably have been expecting, like, when are they going to talk about Bill Belichick so I can, not listen to them? Because, I just don't get it. I find it so interesting. Now he's apparently engaged. Now he's not engaged. What's going on? She wanted to be executive producer on the NFL Hard Knocks and all this stuff. Like, it is wild. Okay, so someone said this would be like banning the free throw because of Steph Curry being so good at free throws. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think it's free. That's a part of the game. It's not like a made-up play. That's why I said, like, has to be an individual play, not one that's within the rules. See, this is one that was just a new created play, and there now, and it's unstoppable. So that's why I said, is it like a sky hook, maybe dunk? I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
I'm trying to think of I guess maybe the sky hook is the best example.
It's probably something. I had to really think about it, but yeah, it's not going to be stopped. At least not the way Philly runs it. They perfected it.
All right, one last caller, Christopher. You're on with Blaine and Zach, and you have to make it quick.
The Titans were one of the 10 teams that voted, no on the referendum or whatever you want to call it. Do you think they might be trying to use the play with Cam Ward?
We wonder, because if you're banning it for a reason now. The way the Packers have worded it was that you're banning any runner from being pushed and pulled. So maybe this is about another player. But if I'm the Tennessee Titans, I'd figure out a way to use it at some point, sometime, because what you used last year at the goal line did not work.
And you proposed that only they bring Levis in for that.
I like it. Let's bring in Will Levis. Let him take all those lumps and hits. Use him as the battering ram. Oh. That's how I view it. All right, that'll do it for us. 3HL's up next. Has been covered too with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime,
and in between time,
peace.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.